You are now watching the Amazin Mets Pregame Show with your hosts, Rob and CP.
Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets!
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Amazin Mets Pregame Show with myself and CP on both of our YouTube channels and, of course, streaming on X as well. Hopefully, everybody is doing good as our New York Mets win a close one in St. Louis 4-3 and take game one of the series. I know that is Chris's favorite game to win in the series, and we'll talk about that, the pitching matchup, the lineup, and all that fun stuff. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, doing well. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was fully locked and loaded on my Knicks last night. Saw the Brandon Nimmo go-ahead home run, but looks like Sean Manaea turned out a good start. 6 innings, a 3-run ball. We'll take that all day long. And like you said, it's my favorite game in the series to take is game one. So they did an absolute good job there. Hopefully they keep things rolling today. But yeah, I was mostly locked into my Knicks last night. I'm not gonna even lie to you. So it's good though. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely, yeah. And of course, playoff takes precedent over a regular season game, game 35 of the season. So we're not going to go crazy with that. But we are doing a pregame here, and we'll talk about our Mets, even though we love our Knicks and the Rangers right now. But I did like a nice start from Manaea. I did like Alonso getting the day off. I thought that was crucial. There was a lot of people talking about that yesterday or even the day before prior to the St. Louis series. I want to get your thoughts on that. And how do you think that's going to either help Pete Alonso, or is that just they're trying everything to get him going again? What do you think about that?
I don't know. He didn't look too inspired when he came out into the game yesterday, to be honest with you. I mean, it might have just been the camera angle just at that direct moment, but he didn't look too inspired to be out there. He just looks tired, man. And along with this tiredness, if we're talking about like mechanical issues, his pitch recognition is just off. It's just off. He's not seeing the ball out of the pitcher's hand well. The timing's all off, and everything else from there is going to be screwed. Multiple positions or multiple points in the game, especially in that Rays series, the Mets needed Alonso to come through with runners in scoring position. And it just kept on going at bat after at bat. We're like, okay, Pete, this is your time. Let's prove yourself here. You're on a skid. Let's snap out of it. And it just never came. And I guess Carlos Mendoza had saw enough, to be honest with you. And he just decided to give him the day off, which a lot of Mets fans were sort of clamoring for to begin with. I think it's fine. But the thing is that my humble thought is that there's no amount of rest that is going to just make Pete Alonso magically see the ball better. Yes, he can take a day off to recover physically, get his rehabilitation in, whatever is like ailing him, get to the trainers, whatever. But that's not going to help him in terms of seeing the ball. So everyone who thinks a day off is going to magically just like reset him in that aspect, you got another thing coming for you, to be honest with you, because we talk about the mental side of the game. And yes, maybe it's a mental reset as well as a physical reset, but you still got to get the reps in on a day off. You still got to swing the bat in the cage. You still got to see a ball coming at you as a live hitter. And, it's just one of those things where everything's just all screwed off. So I don't even know at this point what would be the first thing Pete Alonso would try to address. And having played the game for so long, I know this is all too familiar. Like this stretch right here at the hitter feels like absolute hell. So I'm curious to get your thoughts, Rob, as well. Slumps happen all the time. This is his contract year. We know that he can't have an extended slump because that's just bad for his future payday, right? What would you do if you're Pete Alonso in this situation, just having had a day off, getting thrown right back into the lineup, and actually having to enter into the ball game yesterday and looking very unenthused doing so? What is your thoughts and opinions? Because this is a very tough situation, man.
I'm not shedding no tears. You know why? Because we put him on this pedestal. This is year 6 of his career, or 5 of his career, going on 6. I'm not shedding tears anymore. Get it together. We see Lindor come out of it. We see Nimmo come out of it. We've seen players that were struggling bounce back, at least hitting big home runs or getting the big RBIs. Even Lindor's average sucks, but he's came up in big moments and won games for us. Can you name a game where Pete Alonso won a game for us this year? We're going on 36 games. Now, I'm not saying that he's the worst batter in the world. Great players go through this, but great players also figure out a way to come out of this. And this is what I worry about with Pete Alonso the most, is that I don't know if mentally he's good enough, along with his talent, to put that all together. When things are going well, it's easy. Everything's flowing. You're not tightening the bat so much. You're not thinking at the plate right now. You just, seeing your pitch and hitting it, driving the ball to right center, the right field, which is his strong suit. When he's doing that, that's when he's one of his best hitters. You know what's even more concerning? His batting average. Because when your batting average was career 250, 260, and you're batting 215, 220, that just tells me you're not seeing the ball. You're not going up there with a plan. And this is a guy that hired Scott Boras to get a major contract, a big time contract from whoever. And you know what? What if the Mets would have extended him and he's playing this poorly? Would this be a problem? Would Met fans finally actually, grow a pair and actually get on their favorite player? Because it's starting to be concerning right now, because this is giving every bullet to David Stearns if this continues. Because if this continues, this is another year of a failure of a team that has the face of the franchise not doing well again. And this is the problem that I think I'm having with Pete Alonso right now. Now, I hope he breaks out of it. It's only going to make the team better. The team somehow is hovering around 500 with Alonso not doing well. Lindor kind of breaking out of it. Nimmo is probably the best out of the core right now. McNeil is lost. And we're still talking about our supporting players. So, in my opinion, get it together. Figure it out. You know what? If you want this big contract, not just for the Mets and Mets fans, but for around the league, do you think, because we said this before, Chris, a couple of times during our Mets Hot Stove, the Mets fans look at Pete Alonso much differently than what the league looks at Pete Alonso. They make fun of him during the home run derby. I don't think teams believe that he is a franchise-changing player like Met fans believe. And I think that's something that is going to be a reality check to not only Met fans, but to also Pete Alonso when he does hit free agency. So he just needs to get it together, Chris. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's just that I don't see him going up there with a plan. And this happens way too much when he goes into a slump, right? What is he working on? He looked demoralized when he went into the game. Like, he thought he was going to get a full day of rest. But guess what? The Cardinals were coming back into this ball game, and we needed Pete Alonso to step up. And what did he do? He did not. And who do we had to wait for? We had to wait for somebody else other than the face of the franchise. So that's my concern. I think it's mental, and I think he can't put that together with his talent, and I think it's hurting him overall, especially the pressure of the contract.
And we'll have that discussion as well as the season goes on. Like right now during the pregame, all we can do is pray that he snaps out of it by some miracle of the imagination after a little bit of an off day yesterday until he came into the ball game. That's really all we can hope for, right? But we'll certainly have those conversations. Listen, he may not be a franchise changing player. Maybe we got it all wrong. Maybe last year was the start of obviously him hitting all those home runs, but maybe it was the start of him not having as big of an impact to a team as we all thought that he could have. Now, I still think that, to be honest with you, and me personally, I still think he could be that guy, but we're not seeing it right now. I'm going to call a spade every single time. He is not that right now. And when you talk about the core of the team, like, I don't want to bog this stream down because we have a game to play. We have a game 36 of 162. They have to lace up, strap up, and go out there and play. We will have those discussions on the roundtable about the core, whether they are fit to lead this team to a World Series or not. We will have those discussions. But for right now, on May 7th, 2024, all we can go out there and hope is, as fans, and for Pete Alonso's sake, is that he goes out there and impacts the game in a positive way and the Mets come out with a W. Because at this point, team more than me, team more than Pete Alonso, team more than Jeff McNeil, team more than any single player on this team. It's a team game. And honestly, Yeah, I just don't want to bog this pregame stream down with this. But you're right. You're absolutely right in everything you say. And we're going to have this reevaluation discussion for many months to come unless he gets his head out of his ass. And that's really just the bottom line.
Yep. And yeah, and you know what? We're definitely gonna talk about it later on. But you know what? Everybody's like, "Oh, you got to trade Pete Alonso. He's not doing good." Well, guess what? His value is going down just as much. So the whole idea was if the Mets weren't in it, Pete Alonso is gonna have a great year, and now his value's at an all-time high at the trade deadline. Now he's not doing well, and what are you gonna get for him if he's not playing well? And I think that's something that you have to think about for all the Met fans that think, oh, you should trade him. Well, if he's not doing well and the team's not doing well, his value is shot as well. So that's a bad predicament to be in if you're David Stearns. But like you said, we do have a game today. The Mets have a chance to win a series today, which Jose Butto on the mount. Jose Butto in Butto we trust, and I want to see a bounce back from Jose Butto. He I like him a lot. I think he's a bulldog on the mound, but he gets into himself. Like you talk about this a lot, Chris. He nibbles. Just like I don't know if this is Jeremy Hefner doing telling his pitchers in the rotation to, when you get in a pitcher's count, try to get that strikeout and they try to nibble off the plate. You talk about this all the time. Instead of getting this to, 0-2, it ends up being 3-2, and a full count or 2-2, and it's always in a pitcher's count, then it ends up, favoring the hitter. And I want to see him be aggressive with hitters in pitcher spots. And I want to get your take about Jose Butto because his stuff is there. And he's playing a Cardinals team that you see they're vulnerable. They're a vulnerable lineup. You can pitch to this lineup and pitch successfully. Manaya showed you yesterday. So what are your thoughts about Jose Butto and what do you think is I wouldn't say concerning, but what do you think he has to do to take care of this Cardinals lineup and give a quality start for the Mets?
I would say that the same thing that I say for every single pitcher and what you just said is just be competitive in pitchers counts. That's really it. And last start wasn't really too bad for him. I believe against the Cubs. I was just looking at his 6 innings pitched of 1 earned run ball. It wasn't really that bad, to be honest with you. You had 6 Ks as well. But the previous start before that against this very Cardinals lineup, 4 2/3 with 4 earned runs, and they jumped on him early, which was one of his worst outings of the season so far, right? And he's been really impressive. I like everything that he has to offer. Fastball's nice, 95, mid 90s. Changeup's great. Believe he has a slider as well. Like his arsenal is great. So just go out there and be that bulldog that we saw on the mound out there in that Dodgers game where we're like, okay, he doesn't have his best stuff, but he's attacking these hitters more so than his counterparts did in that series. So you know what? I have full confidence in Jose Butto still. One shaky game 2 outings ago is not going to sort of derail my thought process behind that. I still think that he is a blessing in disguise for this rotation, and he belongs in this rotation for the long haul no matter what. Because, listen, he's still only 25 going on 26, and I believe he's going to be a staple of this rotation next season as well. And so these reps are really valuable, and he's helping this team stay in ball games and actually win ball games as well because listen, the 4 2/3 innings that he pitched against the Cardinals two times ago, it was an anomaly. He goes 5 2/3, 6 innings, whatever you need from Jose Butto, you're pretty much going to get from him. And that's what I like because, and it doesn't matter what kind of start he has. This is what's most important when I evaluate Jose Butto. He can have his worst stuff in the beginning of games, tiptoe his way out of trouble, maybe walk some batters, although the walks really aren't really an issue for Jose Butto. They're an issue for every pitcher in this staff and in this bullpen, but not really so much Jose Butto. But he gets better as the game goes on. He might not have his best stuff in the first and second inning, but you can be rest assured, third inning, fourth inning, fifth inning, he's going to be progressively better through the second time through the batting order. And that's not really usually the case with most pitchers, right? The more at bats that the same hitters see in a game, you see this all the time. They're pulling these guys the third time through the lineup nowadays. That's not the case with Jose Butto. That's his strong suit. I don't know how it is, but it is. And that's what I like about Jose Butto. So to answer your question, what concerns me about Jose Butto? Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing, really.
Okay.
Nothing concerns me. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And Junior Swingman talked about we might have confidence in Butto, but do the Mets. I think the Mets have a ton of confidence in Jose Butto. I don't think he's a placeholder at all. I think McGill and Peterson have to force their way into this rotation. That's probably going to be a 6-man for until further notice, and probably even when Senga comes back, probably hopefully at the end of this month. So if I think whoever pitches bad based on Jose Butto or Scott, one of those guys are probably going to get replaced if they don't pitch well. I don't think they're placeholders, but I think
I'm not replacing either of those guys with
no.
those two
But
names that we just
if they
saw.
don't perform, I think Stearns has shown you that he will replace you with somebody else and give somebody else an opportunity. And McGill, let's be honest, he won the job out of spring. If he didn't get hurt, he might still be in the rotation. I mean, hopefully. I mean, that possibly. I mean, I'm not saying throw McGill in there as soon as he's ready to go. But Peterson is another one that we're going to be talking about soon as well. I want Jose Butto, I want Christian Scott in there. Until they show they can't do it, I'm going to keep on running them out there because I've seen McGill. I've seen Peterson. I know what those guys are. They are average at best. Scott could be the best of them all. Jose Butto can be a solid number 3 in a rotation. And I think that with this 6-man rotation, it gives an opportunity for guys like Scott and Butto and Butto was going to be in a rotation regardless. 5 or 6-man didn't matter. But now Christian Scott has the opportunity to show that he can remain at the big league level. And you know what? I don't care about McGill. I don't care about Peterson or Luke Casey or anybody else you want to bring up. I just don't care. You know what? Those are the 6 guys we're running with. Keep on going out there. The pitching still has been pretty good considering that Kodai Senga hasn't been in the whole season. The pitching hasn't been a problem for this team. It's been the lack of offense. Run with the guys that you got right now until things turn for the worse. Hopefully it doesn't. I'm not worried about those guys. McGill can pitch 3 no-hitters in a row in AAA. Good. Continue to pitch in AAA because I like this rotation right now. And I'm confident in this rotation, to be honest.
Two points for me is that if you want to bring back, if you have a rotation that already struggles with walks, you might as well just throw David Peterson out the window. He has the put away stuff, he has the put away pitches, but he walks the ballpark as well. My second thing that I look for in a guy that can just be in this rotation and impact it over the longevity of the season over a guy like Tyler McGill is a pitcher who has put away stuff, put away capabilities, right? Jose Butto has that.
Yep.
He's had 6 or more strikeouts in 4 of his last 5 starts.
Yeah.
And Christian Scott has that. Both
Yeah.
of those guys have that advantage over Tyler McGill. Coupled with the fact that Tyler McGill is one of the most inefficient pitchers I've ever seen in my life. Struggles to get through 5 innings consistently. He'll put up maybe 1 or 2 earned runs over 4 1/3, and he's already at 100 pitches. It's like, how did you get to that point, dude? Like, thanks for not blowing the ball game wide open for the other team, but how did you get to the point where you're not even through 5 with 100 pitches thrown? Like, a lot had it's probably walks as well, to be honest with you, with McGill as well. So yeah, I agree with Junior. They've done it in seasons past. I understand that, but I simply don't think the Mets can afford it. If they want to make a run at this playoffs at the back end of the wild card, they simply cannot afford to do.
Yeah, and speaking of the wild card, it's looking like the third wild card is the only opportunity for the Mets because the Cubs and Brewers playing well, the Phillies and Braves seem like they're running away. So it's going to be the third wild card, and there's like 50 teams that are going for this third wild card. But the Mets are right there, and like I said, strikeout type stuff or put away stuff like Butto and Scott has. This is what's we were talking about with Severino, who also has that put away stuff as well. If you got 2 or 3 guys in this rotation that can strike out 6 to 10 guys on a regular, even when they don't have their best stuff, that only helps a team have an opportunity to win a ball game. And what do we talk about with this team, right? The pitching needs to give them a chance to win. And they have been over the first 35 games of the season. For the most part, they have. And, if it wasn't for the lack of offense from the main guys or just the lineup as a whole, we talked about this. This team should have 20 wins. Easily should have 20 wins. Maybe more. Like they should be right up there with the Braves and the Phillies, not talent-wise, but record-wise, they should be right around them because we lost a few games this year where the pitch, look, Quintana, 8 innings, Severino, 8 innings, like they actually went that, and we had the opportunity to win. We could have 21, 22, 20 to 21 wins right now, and we could be talking about something totally different. The negativity around Pete Alonso or anybody else you want to talk about negative, we wouldn't be having that conversation because the teams win. We know when the team loses, the negative aspects of the team start coming out from me, you, the fans. It's just what happens. It's just reality. And of course, we're Met fans, so we're usually miserable and we're usually negative. So, yeah, I agree. I want guys that go on the mound with confidence and dominate. And Butto does that. Scott does that. And you know what? For the most part, Severino does that as well because he has ace type stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But I think Jose Butto is going to do well. I think he's going to bounce back from his start against the Cardinals. The Cardinals were kind of, Arenado was destroying the ball when they faced them at Citi Field. The Cardinals have been struggling. Goldschmidt is getting there, but he's still a little lost right now. I think the Mets need to. Honestly, I'm getting greedy now. I want to take the series, but there's no reason why the Mets are better than the Cardinals. If you do your job and get the right hits at the right time and pitch well, you'll be fine. I think this lineup, I like this lineup. I'm so glad McNeil is way down 8, just like he was yesterday. I like that. I'm a little weird out by DJ Stewart in front of JD Martinez, but let's be honest. DJ Stewart has been
well.
Great at bats.
He's been doing well.
Great at bats. His on base has been good. He's been getting big hits. So I mean, it's when you see like what the hell is DJ Stewart doing in front of JD Martinez? But let's be honest, he's doing better than JD Martinez right now. And I guess you need some protection for Pete Alonso. And Chris, can we talk about the protection with Pete Alonso? We've talked about this, and it seems like I think Pete Alonso can be good regardless of protection. We talked about how good can he be even more with really good protection behind him. I think it's more often than not, it doesn't really matter. I think if you don't find your pitches, how many walks he would have if he would lay off that slider, because then they're throwing that on the outside part of the plate every single time. I just think that the way this lineup is right now, we need a couple of guys at the top of the order to get hot at the same time, Chris. And we haven't really seen that. Even during the 12 out of 15 stretch that we had. It was 1 or 2 guys. It wasn't like, 1 through 5 was just going crazy. And I think that's what this team needs. Give me a 3-week stretch where you can't get out Alonso, you can't get out Lindor and Nimmo, and just destroy teams at the top of the order. Because right now, after I get past Lindor, I can't wait to face Alonso and JD Martinez right now if I'm a pitcher. So what are your thoughts with this lineup right now? Like, do you see them coming out at some point? Like, do you feel confident that this top of the order can finally do what they're supposed to do? And let's be honest, what they're getting paid to do? Or do you not have confidence in them?
I mean, it's just clutch hitting at the end of the day, to be honest with you. It's clutch hitting and the lack thereof. I think DJ Stewart has been one of the Mets' more clutch hitters this season so far, shockingly enough. RBI, 1 hit in the ball game yesterday. Brandon Nimmo starting to become that clutch hitter at the top of the lineup with the go-ahead home run. He's putting good at-bats together, OPS or OBP around 360 as well. So, like I said, I don't know. I can't really assess if I'm confident in that or not. I'm gonna have to just see it. I can't just predict is Pete Alonso just gonna snap out of it. But I like the shakeup though. I like DJ Stewart protecting Pete Alonso. To be honest with you, someone said in the chat here, Bredax. I don't know exactly. I don't have my glasses on. I apologize. I can't really see who that is. But shout out to you though. Shout out to you. Yes, I would move Alonso from the cleanup position. I would too, to be honest. Why not shake it up? I'm not gonna lie to you. We saw DJ Stewart in a cleanup hole the last couple of days. I'm not saying that's gonna be what's it's supposed to be every single time, but yeah, I like the shakeup. I think we need more shakeup, and it's about the clutch hitting for me. So, like I said, I don't think we said it so far in the stream today. Shout out everybody watching. Hit that thumbs up. We definitely appreciate you all being here on the pregame stream. But no, it's a good idea to shake things up. Listen, this lineup is a little bit top heavy. This is an issue that we sort of foresaw in the offseason, and we didn't anticipate it being this top heavy, right? When you said after Lindor, it's like, we can't wait to face Pete Alonso. We didn't think it was going to be that top heavy. But no, I agree with you. We need more out of Jeff McNeil. He's been in the 7th spot. He's been in the 8th spot. When is he going to turn it around? Brett Beatty is kind of just hovering there. He's doing okay, but it's kind of like, is that enough? JD Martinez, right? On and off. He's been on and off. Like you said, he's been okay as well, but he hasn't really been the JD Martinez that this lineup has desperately needed in the last couple of seasons, right? So this lineup is not hitting their stride whatsoever at all. And it's really about time that they do. And we can't predict that. As people up here talking about this team in the chat, we can't predict that. It's just about pitch recognition, like you said, though, as well. Just every single time you watch Pete Alonso, I keep on going back to this word timidness, man. Timidness. He's timid. Fastball, let's look at it right down the middle. And I get it. Maybe he shouldn't be swinging at first pitch fastball. Maybe he should be seeing more pitches. I understand that. But if you get a good pitch to hit, especially when you're struggling, you got to take advantage of it because he's chasing not only that slider in the outside part of the zone, like you said, he's chasing sliders 2 feet off the plate, which is terrible. So be less timid. And that doesn't go for just Pete Alonso. That goes across the whole lineup. I wish we saw a little bit more aggression, but it's controlled aggression. I'm not saying just swing at first pitch just to swing at first pitch. Swing at a first pitch if you like it, and if it's in your zone. That's what I'm saying. So be more aggressive. That's what all I can say.
Yeah, I think that's for the entire lineup. I think you talked about this on the roundtable about, yes, the timidness, but you also talked about the Eric Chavez way of, okay, make sure you don't strike out, put the bat on the ball, and it's kind of a lot of weak contact. In Alonso's case, he's not even getting contact either, and when he does get contact, it's soft fly balls, around the yard. So, look, I would love to see this lineup all work together, and I want to see a week stretch where the pitching and the offense come together, and then you can really see what this team can do when everything is working. And we haven't seen that yet. When the pitching has been holding us down, the offense sucked. When the offense has been doing well, yet a little bit of a stretch where the pitching wasn't good. I want to see it come together, and we haven't seen it yet in the first 35 games of the year. Hopefully it happens soon, especially, I forgot who brought it up in the chat. We got the Braves and Phillies coming up. These teams are good, really damn good. You can't be playing games where one is good and the other one's not. You're going to get beat down by these teams. And you got to show up. You got to show up, and it starts tonight. The offense needs to get going. We scored 4 runs yesterday. That's nice. Fine. But, we slowly, we talk about insurance runs, right? 4 runs. We had a 4-run lead. I understand that. Or 3-run lead. I understand that. But I want to see tack on runs. I think that's been a big problem with this team overall, even when they were winning. Tack on runs. Don't score 4 runs and it's the 4th inning and you don't score nothing else. And then you see a team like yesterday. You saw the team slowly starting to come back. And now you have to, oh my God, now you got to throw out Pete Alonso there when he thought he was going to get the day off. Tack on runs here. If you tack on runs, you can have an easy game where you don't have to use your main guys in your bullpen. You don't need to get Pete Alonso off the bench and hopefully he connects on one and, give us a little breathing room. I want to see this team come together as a whole, pitching and offense together, and maybe we will actually see how good they actually are. At least that's what I think, Chris.
I think there's two great comments also, just to go along that point. Easy saying Eric Chavez and Jeremy Hefner should be on the clock right now. I think Jeremy Hefner, obviously the walks have been an issue. The rotation has been pretty decent, like we said. This is more on the offense. Eric Chavez, and shout out to Carson from the Mets Weekly Pod. I'm going to shout him out because he wants Chavez out of here. He's very adamant about it, and I can't blame him, to be honest with you, because the hitting philosophy just doesn't equate to what modern day baseball is right now. I talked about it on the last roundtable. Gap-to-gap hitting is non-existent with this team. The slugging percentage of this team is abysmal. They've got more home runs than the Braves, and how are you 20th in slugging and the Braves are 3rd in slugging? They're not getting extra base hits. They're not hitting gap-to-gap. So I'm not sure if that's a hitting philosophy or just a gap in talent. But we look at this lineup. I see talent. I see Francisco Lindor. I see Brennan Nimmo. I see JD Martinez. Right? Even Jeff McNeil is supposed to come with some sort of gap to gap, not power, but just gap to gap possession and for extra base hits along with the slap hits. So I really don't know where Eric Chavez is preaching. I don't really know what his philosophy is, but I can tell you right now, in the modern game, when we saw in the playoffs, the last go around in 2022, when it comes to playoff baseball, base to base baseball does not equate successfully in a gap-to-gap league like the Dodgers, the Braves, the Orioles have shown, and even the Phillies. I'm just saying that right now. Second point, a great, and Rangers score. Let's go
Rangers
Rangers. I can't
scored.
wait to turn this game on.
Mika just scored.
Absolutely. Mika May, baby. It's Mika May. Oh, by the way, Blue Shirts banner post game is going to be on the channel today. We'll be talking about the game afterward. Another comment here as well. Ricardo, 3 most consistent hitters have been Taylor Stewart, Bader, and then he added on Marte as well. I agree with you. Not the main guys. You know what I mean? That's the issue, and that's what you've been trying to preach as well on these streams, Rob. Like that is a problem right there.
Yes.
So, we can only hope. That's really the only thing we can only hope, to be honest, at this point. And my point to get back into the game today before we do some final thoughts or we talk about whatever else you want to talk about is jump on Miles Mikolas early, please. We have hitters that have had success on Miles Mikolas. I think they did a bad job. The Mets lineup did a bad job last go around where they saw Mikolas in the last series, who was struggling all season long up until that matchup, and he kind of finally settled in against the Mets offense. Francisco Lindor has a great career history against Miles Mikolas. JD Martinez, the same thing. Jeff McNeil, the same thing. We need to jump on this guy early and often because what he did out in Citi Field, I don't have the exact stat line pulled up on me, was a complete failure by the Mets lineup to jump on a pitcher that was already struggling at that point. So get on Miles Mikolas early, man.
Absolutely. And you know what? They had him on the ropes early on in the game the last time they faced him. And then he got a little bit into a groove where they couldn't do anything. And it ended up being a quality start for him, and the Mets just looked bad. Yeah, jump on him. Jump on him early. Get a couple of runs on him early. Get him out of the game early. Let him use a ton of bullpen. And then, win the game today. You can go in for a sweep tomorrow. And that's what we got to do. Chris will be back in just a second as the Carolina just scored and tied the game. But, yeah, guys, this is the whole point when it comes to, Ricardo brought it up. The supporting cast has been doing the job all year. It's about time the stars of this team take control of games. I'm sick of, it's great that DJ Stewart and Bader and Marte are doing their thing, but that's supposed to be an added on bonus to what these stars on this team, or at least considered stars on this team, should be carrying this team. And I'm not saying, for all 162 games, but it's about time that, they put on their big boy pants, they buckle their belt, and do your fucking job. Because I'm sick and tired of Alonso coming up, striking out. I'm sick and tired of Lindor popping up, McNeil looking lost at the plate. Get the job done. Because at some point, the supporting cast is going to do what the supporting cast does. And that is going to take a step back. And then, who are we going to blame this time? Because it's the same problem. Go out there, like Chris says, get on Mikolas early, jump on him. He hasn't been good all season. This is the time for Alonso and Lindor and McNeil to bounce out of it. Wake the fuck up. It's 2024. Fuck your contract. I don't care. Be a baseball player. You're talented. Do your job. I want to see the 250 career hitter from Pete Alonso. Put the bat on the ball. You don't need to hit it over the wall. How about hitting the ball in the gap? How about that? That would be nice. So, Chris, that's my final thoughts. Whatever else you got to say before we call it a night.
Gap to gap baseball, extra base hits. Keep an eye on those doubles. I forgot what the combination of McNeil and Alonso in the last like 20 games and their extra base hit number was, but it wasn't even up to 5. It was less than 5, which is horrendous, right? It's bad all across the board. It's not limited to Alonso and McNeil. The extra base hits are just simply lacking. I love singles. I love getting on base. I love the OBP, but at some point, like you said, you got to put on your big boy pants and you got to hit the ball in the gap, because what wins ball games consistently is gap to gap hitting. The small ball's great. It'll win you a few games. And in 2022, they did it successfully, won 101 games. And we saw where that got them in the playoff time. They got absolutely embarrassed by San Diego because they were hitting the ball over the fence. They were hitting the ball in the gaps, and the Mets weren't. They couldn't figure it out. That's my final thoughts as well. The lineup needs to go gap to gap. The Mets need to jump on Michaelis early. And to your point, that was an embarrassing series the last go around against the Cardinals, a struggling team going into that series. To lose that series at home, I'm going to do you one better. Not only win the series, you need to win today and you need to win tomorrow and you need to sweep the series, because there's no way the Mets should be losing to the St. Louis Cardinals with, let's face it, how poorly they've been performing. 15-20. Their pitchers aren't really all that great in terms of the starting category. Miles Michaelis is not that great. I can tell you this right now. And their lineup is struggling. Yes, they have a couple stars. They have Goldschmidt. They have Arenado. They have a couple other guys in between. We all know the Cardinals are a very pesky team as well, and they play the Mets hard. And they're a tough opponent for the Mets always. There's no reason the Mets should be losing to the Cardinals. No reason.
Yeah.
So sweep the series. That's my final thoughts.
Absolutely. And a couple, Ricardo brought it up. Mendoza, listen, you never know what you're going to get from a new manager. He's been outstanding. A couple of hiccups here and there, but he's been really good as a manager. He's not afraid to sit Alonso. He's not afraid to change up the lineup. He's not afraid to make a bullpen move or put in Diaz in the 8th inning. He's not afraid to make any move. And he's confident post-game after, even if those moves don't work out. He's confident saying, I believe that was the way to go. It didn't work out. That's baseball. He's confident in his decisions. He's not afraid. He's not shying away from a decision in game, regardless of the outcome. So shout out to Mendoza. Hopefully this team picks it up and win some games for him. And yeah, absolutely. Sweep this series against the Cardinals. They are not that good. The Mets are better than them, and they need to get the job done. 2 out of 3 probably feel like a disappointment in your opinion, Chris, and mine opinion, and probably most Met fans. Sweep this series. You need to dominate this series. You're better than them. Do it. Come back out of St. Louis. You got a big series against the Braves, who are going to be looking for blood after you took a series against them in Atlanta. So you know they're going to come out guns blazing. But before you get there, take care of business in St. Louis. So I like the lineup. Jose Butto's on the mound. You could probably get a quality start from him. Most likely, he's probably going to go 6 innings. He's probably going to be a bulldog on the mound, even if he doesn't have his great stuff. He'll keep you in the ball game. The Mets got to do the job, Chris. So let's go Rangers. Let's go Mets. Let's go Knicks. All New York teams got to be doing their job. The Knicks and the Rangers are doing their job. The Mets got to start doing their job, and then there's going to be a lot of smiling faces in New York and around the country. So with that said, Chris, you have a great night. Everybody in the chat, have a great night. Let's go Mets, guys. Let's go Rangers. Let's go Knicks. Have a great night, guys. We'll see you next time.
See y'all later.